Welcome to the ILI History Makers Leadership Podcast. One of the great things about being an international organization is that we have friends and partners all over the world. And so today I have the privilege of sitting down with Dr. Alfred Kalembo, Reverend Dr. Alfred Kalembo from Lusaka, Zambia. He's a longtime friend. The first country I ever visited in Africa was Zambia in 2004, many years ago. We did a training together. He showed me the countryside of his beautiful country, the capital city, the city where he lived. And since then, we have partnered together in many, many occasions. And Alfred has a beautiful story, a beautiful testimony of what God does in the life of a man who commits to serving him and building his kingdom on earth. Alfred, welcome to the History Makers Leadership Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Well, Alfred, we want to start with your story. You hail from the countryside of Zambia. I suspect a lot of people don't even know where Zambia is. So let's begin by talking a little bit about Zambia. Where is Zambia?
Zambia is in the southern part of Africa and surrounded by 8 nations, 2 in the north, 2 in the east, 2 in the south, and 2 west.
Probably the most recognized and well-known landmark of your country is the beautiful falls.
Yes, Victoria Falls, which is one of the wonders of the world.
One of the wonders of the world. Yeah, it's a beautiful country. I remember vividly landing, our airplane landing at the Lusaka airport and looking out and seeing huts with in villages, even in the surrounding area of the airport. And we want to. You grew up in one such village, right?
Yes.
And there's some interesting facts about you and education.
Yes.
First of all, did you grow up in a Christian family?
No, I didn't grow up in a Christian family.
Tell me a little bit about what your family was like.
Yeah, I grew up in a village in the district of Sinazongwe by River Zambezi in the Gwembe Valley. It's a very hot area, but my dad had 3 wives. I grew up in a polygamous family. My mother was the first one, and there were 2 other women. And so in my village, there was no school. Where I grew up, really, I had to walk many hours to school. But I had so much passion. I wanted to be educated. There was nobody educated on my dad's side and on mom's side. But somehow within me, I had a passion to go to school.
And you ended up collecting several firsts,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Tell us, what are these firsts in your life?
Some of the firsts, of the many firsts, is that in my family, I'm the first one to finish 7th grade. I was the first one to finish 7th grade. My sister never went to school. From the second wife of my dad, the boy went on to 4th grade. The third wife of my dad had 2 children, and they never even went to school. So I'm the first one to finish 7th grade.
7th grade.
First to go to secondary school. First to go to college. And then after college, at the college level, within the Wesleyan Church, which I became part of, I was the first 12th grader to go to Bible college. Then first to a first degree, first to a master's at Asbury, probably the first Zambian to go to Asbury, first Zambian and first within the Wesleyan Church to have a Doctor of Ministry degree.
Well, that is excellent, and you are an academic, but not necessarily. You are a practitioner of
Yes.
leadership and pastoral leadership. But we need to clarify one thing here. You did not grow up in a Christian family. In fact, you grew up in a polygamous family, which was probably practicing African traditional religions,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So, how did you come to become the leader of the Pilgrim Wesleyan Church in Zambia?
Well, I was very fortunate because in the 7th grade, we had to kind of apply to secondary schools. And my 7th grade teacher advised me to apply to Choma Secondary School, which was a mission secondary school established by American missionaries to reach young Zambians with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So it was at that school where I met missionaries, and I'm very privileged that Wilma Chini, who led me to Christ, is 93-year-old living in Brooksville, Florida. And Mr. Davis, who discipled me, is 85 years old and living in North Carolina. And so I'm very privileged that these people are still alive and they see the fruit of their labor.
Wow. They must be really proud of young Alfred, because you were in secondary school. You were probably in your teens, 17, 18 years old, and they invested in your life, leading you to Christ and discipling you. And when you invest in the life of a young person like that, you never really know what is going to turn out. But you pray and you hope that they will remain faithful to the end. And so now you are not only faithful to the end, but you have been very influential in your life, in your ministry in Zambia. So, how would you describe the current climate, or even the climate, the religious and spiritual climate in which you grew up? What are the greatest challenges of the church in Zambia? Because on the surface, Zambia is a Christian country. We were just talking before we started recording, and Zambia is almost 90%, quote unquote, Christian. Almost 90% of Zambia identifies as Christian. Furthermore, we saw the number about 25, about a quarter of the population are professing evangelical Christians. And so you would almost think that there's no evangelism to be done in a place like that. But try to describe for us, what is it like to be a Christian, to be an evangelist, to be a pastor, to be a Christian leader in Zambia?
Yeah, well, I think we do have a very good environment. As you have alluded, Zambia is a Christian nation that is enshrined in the preamble of our constitution. And all the presidents from 1991, when Zambia was declared a Christian nation, all the presidents have upheld that position. And Christianity is freely expressed and shared in Zambia. But as you have said, part of the challenge of our being a church, a nation that needs to continue to evangelize, is because there is a sense in which that people have really not received the gospel as one would desire. I think part of the challenge that, of course, is that there is no clear understanding in some circles about who a Christian is. And so you still see, while we have this as a Christian nation, it's a wish, it's a desire that people should be guided by Christian principles, but we still see the challenges of not people not being guided by the Christian principles.
So even in a
Yeah.
even in a nation that identifies as Christian, the challenges are great, and and I can see that from you. And so in that environment, you are. When I first met you, you were a leader. I could say a mid-level leader in a denomination called Pilgrim Wesleyan Church, right?
Yes.
But my understanding is you rose through the ranks of that denomination to achieve, in part because of these degrees and all the education that you have received, which was a blessing in your life. But you have achieved a significant level of leadership in the denomination. Tell us a little about that. How did you? What were the positions that you held? How did you rise to the leadership of your own denomination?
Well, I think I was very privileged because my undergraduate, as the first Wesleyan to have a degree, a theological degree, I served as an associate pastor of a missionary in the eastern part of Zambia, in a town called Chipata. And I was very committed to discipling and mentoring the people. That was, to me, that was very key. And so my local church, Chipata, was known all over our denomination that everyone who comes from Chipata, they are leaders and they are givers. So the church was faithful at giving. It was known at the national level that this church is. And so, though I was young initially, I mean, when I rose as the national superintendent, I was only 32. And so, but the church felt, I think this young man, he may be young, but I think we have seen what he has done at the local church. Chipata Church has become a very, very dynamic church within our denomination. So I tend to think that my focus for my discipleship and the mentoring program really helped.
Wow. So what led you to that commitment to discipleship?
Well, I think, my professors at Kenya Highlands Bible College were Asbury graduates, and they impacted my life so much. Actually, even when I was at that school, that college, I said, if ever I have an opportunity to go to seminary, Asbury is the place. But the teachers and the professors at my college were very committed to our spiritual growth, our personal depth in our spiritual walk. And so I carried that.
You carried that and you put that into practice.
Yeah.
And then you became, you said, a overseer or
National superintendent.
national superintendent. Is that like a bishop?
Yes. It's
Okay.
a position of bishop.
So you became the national superintendent. But then your church began to have a bigger influence, and you ended up in a interdenominational position as well. How did that happen?
Well, in Zambia, we have 3 church mother bodies where churches do affiliate. We have the Catholic Bishops' Council, which takes care of all the Catholic churches in Zambia. Then we have Council of Churches in Zambia, which are many Protestant churches. At that time, there were 19 denominations. One of them, which really has 1 million members, which is United Church of Zambia. It's one of the 19. And then we have Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia. And so the 3 are the church mother bodies. And I was elected to be the president of the Council of Churches in Zambia.
Council of Churches in Zambia, which includes the United Church of Zambia,
yes,
and includes your own denomination.
Yes.
And I understand you've had quite the privilege I wouldn't call it by accident, but by an event that happened when you were at that position. And tell us that. I don't want to spoil the surprise.
Yes. Well, I would like to, of course, we had many issues to deal with at that level, but I want to share 2.
Okay.
The first one was, unfortunately, our president died in 2014. And I was in Mozambique. And so the three church mother bodies, general secretaries gathered, and they nominated me to be the one to preach at the funeral of the president.
Wow.
And that was a one in a lifetime opportunity to console the nation. And that day, I realized I had a big opportunity to lift Jesus. When the entire country was my audience, dignitaries, the ambassadors were all there. The entire machinery, communication machinery, was at my disposal. And as I stood, I took a deep breath. I said, Lord Jesus, help me to lift your name. And I lifted the name of Jesus. What an opportunity that I had. Really, I think that is once, as I said, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to lift Christ.
If I may correct you, it's a once in many lifetimes, because none of us here on the studio, none of us at our organization have had that amazing opportunity. And I love it as the way you put it, not to preach the funeral of the president, but to lift Jesus up before an entire nation. Wow. And I love to think that discipleship, that missionary who discipled you in secondary school, who helped you to grow in your faith, had a part to play, because he sowed the seeds of that commitment to lifting Jesus up, didn't he?
Yes.
Did you ever get to tell him? Did you ever get to tell this missionary about?
Oh, yes. Yes, I met them actually. Last February, I was with, we affectionately call her Aunt Wilma. I was with her in Brooksville. She actually hosted Mumbe and I in her home. And actually, because she taught both of us, actually. She taught Mumbe English, and she taught me English.
Okay.
And then Morris, I just talked to him this week. I'm very much in touch with both of them.
Very good. Very good. This is the kind of thing that encourages us. I was a missionary myself. Encourages us to see, as John says, that our children are walking in the faith. Our spiritual children are walking in the faith. Now, with all of that leadership, with all of those opportunities, there are also challenges. So, what is it like to be a leader in a country? Now, Zambia is a peaceful country, but it's a poor country. And a lot of times some poor countries are always in the brink of some kind of trouble, whether it's financial, political. And I know that that you mentioned before when we were chatting about an opportunity you had to speak and be interviewed. Try to bring a word of peace, a word of reconciliation, because there is a lot of political instability, or even I don't know exactly how to describe it. But tell me about the current political situation, spiritual situation altogether, and how does a Christian leader like you, who has now risen to a position of influence, how do you steward that influence for the benefit of your country and of the benefit of the kingdom of God?
Thank you very much. I think the best is one, to continue to focus on the emerging leaders, which are young people. When we focus on young people, we are presenting Christ to them. And then they are studying in different fields, but if they become royal followers of Christ, then our nation will be influenced by the word of God. And one of the ways, as I said, as from our church, is why we are even establishing Africa Wesleyan University, because the government is encouraging churches to have universities as a way of influencing our young people who are future leaders to become better leaders. And I'm privileged to serve as the vice president of that institution, to be for what do you call in here? You call it advancement. And so, really, I think and it's very exciting that our young people. This is hope for us. We must focus on our young people in order to influence the nation.
You're
Christ.
raising up the next generation of leaders for Zambia in
Yes.
the universities. You were telling us about the amazing opportunities you've been having to train young leaders and their desire, young Christian leaders, next generation Christian leaders, and their desire to serve, to influence for God. Tell us a little about all of this that is going in, their hunger for it.
Oh man, yeah, I can speak for a long time, but let me be brief.
Oh no, you don't have to be
because
brief.
this
Come on.
is very, very exciting, because we started with the ILI team in Zambia. We taught 37 young people from the University of Zambia, School of Medicine, and from the main campus, and one student from Cavendish. And my team, we spent the whole week with them, and at the end we challenged them. Said, we want you to reach your fellow students. And their message was, you have taught us. We will take the gospel to all the universities in Zambia and colleges. And they started, and right now we have over 600 that have been taught in various University of Zambia main campus, Copperbelt University, School of Medicine, Cavendish University, Lusaka, University of Lusaka, and several universities. So they have taken, and I'm feeling that I'm behind, and then they are running. The fire in them is unstoppable. It's really exciting to see this kind of hunger among young people, led by, I think I wanted to mention really Matthew Chiwanda, and with his assistant Wesley Mwene. These young people are truly rising to the challenge of leading their fellow students.
Yeah, my last question was going to be, what gives you hope in Zambia? But apparently you've answered that question already, haven't you?
Yeah, sure. So there's hope. There's hope. Definitely, there's hope.
As
these young people.
long as we invest in the next generation,
yes,
there's hope.
Yes.
Isn't there?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Alfred, for being with us. Thank you for giving us these insights into what it means to be a leader in Africa, in Zambia, and the amazing journey that you've had. You've mentioned this verse this morning in our office devotions, but it just keeps reminding me of Ephesians 3:20-22. He who is able to do infinitely more, abundantly more than we can think or imagine, according to his power that operates in us. Your life seems to be a living proof of the truth of this text. God has done amazingly more in your life than I think you could ever imagine, right?
Oh, sure.
So
sure.
One last word of encouragement to those who hear or watch our podcast from Alfred in Zambia.
Well, we are very grateful for the opportunity that God has given us in our lifetime to invest in our next generation. For those of us in Zambia, we are very excited that the government is very supportive. The government is desiring our nation to be a nation of truth, no corruption, a nation that is upright and a peaceful nation. So we welcome you and encourage you to partner with us in any way to make Christ known through the next generation.
Yes, come to Zambia, see the falls, Victoria Falls. They are beautiful, but also make sure to help the Zambian body of Christ to proclaim Jesus to that nation and beyond. And if this has blessed you, if this conversation has encouraged you, make sure to like our podcast, make a comment. It helps the algorithm to make our conversations available to many other people.